Hurricane Milton. For the most part, the transition seemed to be going very well. Everybody seemed pretty skeptical at first, but now they seemed to have settled into the advantages of virtual reality. Oh, sure, back when Apple Vision and MetaQuest goggles were so big and so expensive that hardly anybody was wearing them, this day didn't even appear possible. But the new breakthroughs that brought sizes down to ordinary pairs of glasses and prices under $300 had made virtual reality a reality. Such a reality that it was extremely rare to see someone without them. After all, why live in a world of ordinary when extraordinary is so available? Now, it wasn't all video games and escapism. After all, who could do their jobs and see to the regular tasks of life if the goggles kept transporting them to far-off vistas? No, modern programming actually produced more of an enhanced reality than virtual, which took everyday life and added virtual improvements like better weather or background music or brighter colors. So it never really occurred to Milton that there could be a problem with his vision as he carefully got out from behind the steering wheel with the now deflated airbag. His face hurt like crazy because when those bags go off on somebody wearing glasses, the glasses just become part of the face. He groaned as he tried to stand and get his bearings. He warily looked over the scene and quickly realized in a contest between a telephone pole and a small electric car, the pole always wins. Overcome by a sudden rage, he repeatedly kicked the front tire, cursing till he fell finally to his knees in anguish. As his quiet sobbing subsided, he called in the accident and buttoned things up with the police soon after they arrived. He then called an Uber and headed home to break the bad news to his wife about the car. The car itself wasn't the real tragedy. Insurance would fix that. No, it was the terrible memory of the last time that bag blew off. The time that drunk driver slammed into the passenger door, leaving his precious wife injured for life. That driver had ruined all of their lives that day. His fate was prison, while Milton's wife was relegated to a wheelchair. And Milton himself? Well, he was never the same. He struggled at work, often unexpectedly banging into people or chairs or walls, regularly getting hurt and hurting others in the process. His company finally had to let him go when he just couldn't perform basic tasks without injury. And life at home wasn't much better. Walking, cooking, and certainly driving had all become hazardous activities, leaving Milton in a world of anger and bitterness. He tried several upgrades to his glasses since the repairs after the accident, but just couldn't recover any real sense of balance or peace. Milton's wife, on the other hand, actually seemed to be doing better than ever. While her husband kept seeking stronger enhancements to his glasses, she'd stopped wearing hers altogether. Talk about standing out in a crowd. Wherever they went, she'd be the only one without glasses, and yet she always had a big smile and a great attitude. Milton dismissed it by telling people that she had got religion, but her story was different. She'd tell whoever would listen that she'd met a man by the name of Jerry or Jesse or something like that. Milton never listened that good. Anyway, this guy changed her life in a way that the glasses never could. Her story never made sense to Milton, even though the glasses hadn't been working for him for a long time. And now here he was, returning home injured from blowing it again. He kind of dreaded how she'd bring Julius into this somehow. So he was really relieved when she just comforted him and suggested another trip to the glasses guys. But the glasses guys were stumped. We've tried every upgrade we can think of, and none of them have helped, they concluded. Something in your mind must keep interrupting and interfering with the programming. Is there anything that keeps coming to mind that makes you upset? Well, the drunk driver, of course, answered Milton, but there's no way I can get him out of my mind. Something kind of jumped inside of Milton's wife, and she began debating whether waiting for their drive home or whether to say something now. Actually, there is a way to get him out of your mind and out of your way for good, she broke in. I wondered bringing this up now or later, but I think this may be helpful for these young men to hear too, just in case they or anybody they know has the same problem, she continued. The only way to stop someone who hurt you from controlling your mind is to forgive them, to let them go. And the only way to do that for good is with the help of Jesus, she quietly concluded. Jesus Christ! That's the name, Milton now remembered. Cynthia, sweetheart, I know how you love to bring this guy up, but could we talk about this later? Milton requested, a little embarrassed in front of the Tex and never for a moment expecting to talk with her about it later. But before she could answer, one of the Techs piped up, I think she's right. I was too shy to say anything, but that's what I had to do, and it changed my life. Mine too, exclaimed one of the other young men. Jesus was the only one who could help me forget about somebody that really hurt me. Milton began to feel a bit ambushed as the shared joy of knowing this Jesus began to kind of threaten his false sense of security. I think we're done here. I could never completely let this guy off the hook for what he did. That's just stupid, he stated as he headed for the door. Well, you can be done if you don't want to see any change, one of the Techs took over for what his wife would have otherwise said. Or you could give it a try, he invited. So, in what Milton could never distinguish as either a moment of weakness or the desire to shut these people up for good, he agreed to try. How do I do this? He deferred. Simple, answered the Tech. Just say, Jesus, with your help, I forgive his name here. But I won't really mean it. I'm still really mad at this guy, Milton objected. I know. Jesus knows. But if you say, I forgive you every time you think about him, you will believe it eventually. So Milton, as earnestly as he could, closed his eyes and said, I forgive you. Now, I'm not going to say that a choir of angels filled that room with heavenly music, but Milton did strangely feel a weight lifted off him from the inside. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you, he repeated on and on, feeling lighter each time he said it, until he finally felt ready to leave. And as they opened the door, one of the Techs who hadn't been talking about Jesus reminded him, Don't forget your glasses. Thanks, Milton answered, but I think I'll try life without them for a bit. And on the way home, he asked Cynthia, Is there anything else I should know about this guy, Jesus? As a matter of fact, there is, she answered with a smile. And from then on, Milton never had a problem bumping into things or people, except if he saw someone who looked hurt. Then he might go out of his way to ask, Have you been banging into a lot of stuff lately?